Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Greetings of peace and blessings upon you, brothers.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, today we're going to be talking about our desires and sins, like how we could be taken from ourselves and we don't even realize.
Yeah, certain things that people may desire that could be a sin. And also like how, like why is it a sin? You know, how it takes you away from the path of Allah, how it takes you away from the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if certain things aren't like strictly prescribed in the Quran saying, oh, this is a sin, there are tafsir and there are consensus from the scholars and the hadith that tell you that this is haram, and people like to ignore it. People like to say, oh, it doesn't say this and this and that, and people don't want to do as much research as they can. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave you these resources to seek knowledge with, and that's what this episode is talking about. So who wants to start us off?
Well, okay, first we have to understand what a sin is in Islam and why it is a sin. Why? It's because it harms us. It doesn't do good for us. It hurts our iman. The 5 pillars and the 6 pillars of iman, like a sin, it hurts that.
Yeah.
Even if you don't see it, it does in some way, and you can explain. You can find an explanation for it. Like for alcohol, like being intoxicated. When alcohol was first forbidden, it was forbidden from the prayer. The Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, he forbid it from the Sahaba, from the prayer. Like you can't go to.
It even says in the Quran.
Yeah, you can't go to the prayer intoxicated. Why? Because like it literally it makes your prayer nullified. Now it's forbidden altogether. Why? Because it's intoxicating. You see how many problems alcohol causes?
Yeah, because mankind, they're heedless. The sheikh in the khutbah that I went to on Friday, he spoke of men being heedless. Now, see, he was speaking, his overall topic was speaking about the virtues of Jum'ah, right? But when he brought up heedless, he was saying us as mankind. Like he was speaking to the dudes in the room too, because he was like, oh, the people who sit in the back, they're heedless because they don't want to come to the front. The reward of being in the front and being early to Jum'ah and that type of stuff. And I was like, see, the word heedless here is it takes on the same type of meaning because
like ignorant.
Yeah, like mankind,
you're ignorant of what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Like alcohol, it wasn't always forbidden. Like you said, it was only forbidden when you needed to pray. But see, like mankind, they stopped, taking alcohol as something, oh yeah, you could take in small increments and you wouldn't have to get intoxicated. But then they took it as something that, they could see themselves get intoxicated in. It led to, wives getting beaten. It led to them not understanding the state that they're in.
Just look at today's society. Go to any bar and see how many fights there is every single night. I mean, just imagine if people like society didn't take alcohol the way they do now. Imagine how many non-broken homes there would still be. Imagine how many non-single mothers there would be. Imagine how many families would still be put together. Imagine how many kids wouldn't have to suffer this, and then they grow up to be alcoholics. I'm not saying, just because you grew up in an alcoholic house that you're going to become an alcoholic yourself. Like, no.
Look, in my junior year of high school, I read this book called The Jungle. It was about an immigrant and his family coming to America for the first time in the early 1900s. So, that time, money wasn't very especially for immigrants, there wasn't a lot of money to go around. 15 cents could buy you a full meal. So this dude, he went through so much, he lost a child. He went through so much hardship. He kept going from job to job. And these were all stories compiled from a whole bunch of immigrants into one story, right? Based on in one family. So the stories were true, but all the stuff that happened didn't happen like how it happened in the story, right? But the lesson still is the same. This dude, all this hardship he went to, and look what he turned to. He turned to alcohol. He would get money for the day to be able to feed his family, and he wouldn't go feed his family. He'd go to the bar and get drunk so that he could forget everything that just happened. He'd go and then he'd go back to work the next day, do the same thing, go to the bar all night. And he wouldn't go see his family. He wouldn't go take care of his family or anything like that. And if he did, he'd go and it made me think about how does that reflect on today and how the times before us, how alcohol has changed mankind, not just men and women or whatever, but how it changed a man who's trying to start a family. A man who may beat his wife or who may be abusive to his children. A lot of people who say they come from abusive families, they might have an alcoholic as a parent. Yeah, and what can you do about that?
That's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
One common term I hear is, a lot of people, when they go around alcoholics, they say they love this person when they're sober. But then whenever they're drunk, they don't ever want anything to do with this person.
And this is just one of the examples of why Islam forbids alcohol. You can see why it's a sin, because it harms you.
And going back to the point of men being heedless, men knows the consequences of alcohol, but yet they
spend their money, they spend their adornments.
We're human beings, right? We're gonna fall into these types of things, right? But we need to know and understand why it is a sin, and that it is a sin. along with many other things that you may desire or, try to overlook.
That's a lesson for everybody, right? But see, even as Muslims, there are Muslims out there who have fallen into that sin of drinking alcohol. But look, alcohol is a major sin. It's not just a regular sin. It's not a sin of like, you uncovering your aura or something like that.
It's a hierarchy.
Yeah, there's a grade scale based on sin.
The hierarchy is if it's detrimental to your iman.
Yeah.
Like shirk is the most majors of sin because why? It's detrimental to your iman. It destroys it, completely destroys it.
Yeah, because you don't. What iman do you have?
Yeah, I mean,
shirk, right?
Yeah, yes.
Now, see, when you're drunk, when you're drunk, and the time to pray for prayer has come. How do you go pray? How do you tell Allah like you're here and you're having a conversation with Him when you're drunk? If a drunk person has a conversation with me, I know they're probably not even gonna remember what they tell me.
Like even when we're in Sudan and you see someone shout about khamra and like he's coming, he's walking all sluggish, but he just looks like an idiot. He looks like a target. You could get robbed. Anything can happen to you when you're drunk. You're literally like a non-functioning human being when you're drunk.
Yeah, and I be hearing all these stories about people getting blacked out and all this.
Yeah,
and
ending up in an alleyway.
Nothing happened to you, dude. Like
that's nothing to brag about. Like, what are you talking about? See, it's one thing I know about mankind. Mankind will always go towards the apple tree, no matter what. They're always going to go to the apple tree. Why? Because they're heedless. What you said, they're ignorant. Like even you said, mankind knows the consequences of alcohol, but yet it's a $1 billion industry, $1 million industry, but whatever. Who knows how much money they make?
Look, listen. Just imagine for the viewers in the U.S. Imagine how many people would still be alive today if there was no drinking and driving. If they never would have touched the alcohol, they never would have went behind the wheel. We'd still have how many people here?
Yeah. But also look at it like the prohibition was a thing too in the early 1920s, but still they were still having like secret clubs and secret nightclubs for drinking alcohol, and they had code names for alcoholic drinks and all this type of stuff. So it's like alcohol never really left, even if they were to prohibit it. It's never really gonna leave because it's so accessible. It's easily accessible no matter what age you are. You see teenagers today who go to like high school parties and stuff like that. They have drinks. How they get the drinks?
And it's so easy for them to get the drinks.
Exactly. And people don't understand.
And this is not just about alcohol. This is also about other intoxicants as well.
Yeah,
like the drugs that the youth take today. It's so apparent. This is like literally the people are making money off of this.
Dude,
they're making money off your health and your mind, and you're letting this happen.
The way they look at you, like if I'm not the one who's drinking and smoking, I'm the one doing something wrong. Like in their eyes, like it's weird.
Yeah, they look at you weird if you say you've never done it or you've never even been tempted to do it. Like, especially living in America, what's so apparent, weed is being legalized all over the place, or weed, even if it's not illegal and where you live, it's still everywhere. Like you can go in certain areas of your city and you'll probably smell weed just because, that area is so like flooded with it. And people will be like, oh yeah, no, weed is good for you. I'm like, medically people say, yeah, there are some benefits to weed, but weed, just because it may have some benefit doesn't mean it should be taken with like 5 or 6 different joints or blunts or whatever. Just like alcohol shouldn't be taken in like 6 shots. That's not going to help
alcohol in the Quran. It is the Quran admits alcohol has some benefits, but why is it still haram? Because the bad outweighs the good.
Even no matter what benefits it were to say, if it were to tell you, oh yeah, only drink alcohol in this much, like mankind, do not drink more than this much alcohol.
People would still exceed that amount.
People will still exceed that amount. That's why people get drunk. You're not supposed to get drunk, but people do it anyway because they think it's fun. They think it's cool to, escape their problems. What do they call alcohol in terms of like it's like an antidepressant or something like that, or it's a stimulant. It's a stimulant. Yeah, it's a stimulant. And people like, I don't know how many people would be willing to admit to say that they use it to, run away from their problems or to get rid of something that they're trying to feel. A lot of people say they drink the pain away, they smoke the pain away, that type of stuff.
I hear that a lot with weed.
Where's hold on, people say that with a sort of dignity. Where's the dignity in that? Where's the honor in that? Like you have to rely on something else. You can't fight your own battles. There's people out there fighting their own battles. They're fighting battles that are harder than yours, 10 times harder than yours. I've seen it with my eyes. And you're going to sit here and say, I have to smoke the pain away. I have to drink the pain away. What type of weak person are you?
A heartbreak from a haram relationship?
Yeah, like, bro, and then there are people that will say, oh, I have to, like, this, how do you have fun? How do you have fun if you don't drink or smoke? Are you stupid? Like, if you have to drink and smoke to have fun, you have to reevaluate your circumstances and reevaluate the people you hang around.
Yeah, well, just like you said, what type of dignity do you have to say you rely on something else to, to solve your problems or to run away from your problems or whatever, saying I smoke or drink the pain away? Like, I've even seen Muslims who have admitted online saying, oh, I've struggled with this. And I'm like, okay, that's
okay.
Cool
struggle is okay.
No, I'm saying it's cool to say you struggled with it, but don't admit it online saying you're still doing it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He concealed that sin for you. Nobody knew it until you put it online.
Here's the difference between like a real Muslim who's trying to follow the deen and someone who's not. The real Muslim is going to drink alcohol or smoke weed as a struggle, right? Like, let's say it's a
They're
struggle for
struggling
them.
with it. Yes, okay, that's fine.
They're
Struggle is
going through-
okay.
and they admit that it's a problem. They admit it. But someone who's not is gonna try to justify in any way, shape, or form. Oh, I'm just doing it because I'm going through a lot of things right now, or weed is actually good for you, or scientifically proven,
or
yada
or
yada yada.
I'm just having fun or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
something
I've
like
heard
that.
that excuse before. Like I'm just having fun. I'm just living my life, and that goes back to the notion of so many people who believe, oh, you only live once. Like, bro, you're in for a rude awakening as a person if you think you're only on this earth just this time. If you think that there's nothing coming for you after death.
Even going at it, like we don't have to go through like the spirituality part or anything. Just even in this life,
Like the
just imagine a society that doesn't get intoxicated. How many more people would be living better lives? Imagine how many non-broken families there would be. Imagine how many people would still be alive today. Imagine, all the people that wouldn't be in jail right now. It goes through a lot. And you see these things. Your family member goes to jail. That hurts you, and that hurts the person that went to jail and their family around them.
So
So
that's great. Yeah, wallahi, that's crazy.
and that's just the basis, right? Because family values is literally one of the most important things. What does Allah say in the Quran? Right after respect your parents, listen to your parents, right? Without them, imagine your parents left you or they got taken away because of some drug problem.
Yeah,
Bro, even like, wallahi, that's crazy. Bro, even now today, bro, people like they even take drinking as like a way to gain status. Like, oh, I can outdrink him. Like, how is that It's like status? Like, that's not good. like just because you can endure like alcohol and intoxicants, like how backwards are you? This is what you do to raise your status. It doesn't make sense.
This is something why I feel like we're so blessed, because even in times where I may have not turned to Allah or thought that Allah was like guiding me, I stayed away from stuff like that. So substances like weed and alcohol and drugs or whatever, and other sins that have been normalized in today's world, even in in an environment where it's all around me. I've had friends who do it. I've had friends who encourage me to do it. I've had friends who like tried to push me to do things that I know is haram, and I like
those aren't friends.
And it didn't what's it called? It didn't influence me to the point enough where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna end up doing it because my friends are doing it. Like, no, I always had a sense of iman inside my heart where I was like, you know what? I understand, like, because I've never spoken to Allah directly like Musa alayhi salam. I'd hear my mom's voice telling me like, hey, this is haram, don't do this. Like, you can't do this. Allah will punish you. Every single time, I would do something wrong in the house, my mom would be like, Allah behazbak, Allah will punish you. I'd hear that so many times, and I hear that, and it makes me wonder, like, Allah truly does guide whom He wills, even if, like, that saying where it says, even if you turn away from Allah, Allah's still there with you. Yeah. Allah still, like, he's close to you. Allah is near. It says that in the Quran. Indeed, the help of Allah is near. Mm-hmm. And you can really feel that when there's a sense of iman in your heart. But if you're gonna reject that, turning away from something in fear of Allah, then Allah will allow you to do that, and He will place a seal on your heart.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I was the same way, right? I had those same type of group of friends in the beginning of high school, right? Didn't exactly know who exactly were the best of people to hang around. And, they would encourage me to do this. And like I said, if I wasn't the one, smoking and drinking, I was the one doing something wrong. They'd ridicule me for it. They'd be like, oh, you scared or something? Like, no, matter of fact, look, just going back and thinking about it, dude, you are so weak-minded. You fell for the peer pressure. I didn't. You're over here pressuring me, do this, do that, and I'm still not falling for your peer pressure. Like, but you fell into that. That's how you started. Other people were trying to tell
and now you have a lifelong problem.
And now you have a lifelong problem. Exactly. And
now you have the health issues. Now you have the.
But it's not impossible.
Now you have a battle ahead of you that's gonna force you to stop eventually if you do end up stopping. But like, I remember when I first got to high school, they asked me if I had ever done it, like ever smoked weed, and I was like, nah. They were like, do you want to? I was like, nah. And they were like, good, don't. Because once you get on it, you can't get off it. And I was like that stuck with me. Like, I still remember that to this day. The exact conversation. I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly the situation, all that. Because I remember, like, I was like, then why would people do it if they know they can't stop? Like, exactly. Like that was that question has been radiating in my head forever.
And it just goes back to, like, mankind is heedless. Mankind is always going to go to the apple tree. No matter what. You look all throughout history, mankind's going to go to the apple tree.
Even if you're told not to go, they still go.
Even if you're told not to go, like, bro, if you pointed at a fire and told 100 people not to go into that fire, it's going to harm you, people will still go into that fire.
Exactly. Or don't look at it. They'll go
and look at it. Why? Because the curiosity, the heedlessness, the ignorance, these traits are what.
You ever heard the complete opposite? For instance, I was scrolling on TikTok. They were like, when you're washing dishes, but then all of a sudden your parents tell you to wash the dishes. Now you don't want to do it anymore. See how it's the complete opposite. You know,
That's
you tell
arrogance. Yeah,
you
they're
tell people
arrogant.
not to do something, they'll go and do it. You tell people to do something, they don't want to do it.
Because people are arrogant, man. They don't like to be told what to do. That's why a lot of people will reject the faith, man. But like, look, for people for Muslims who have struggled with something like drugs or alcohol or a sin of that sort, you know, have struggled with something like that. One piece of advice I can give you is that yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's the most merciful, he's the most forgiving, the most gracious, right? But he's the most forgiving to the one who seeks forgiveness. You can't just say, yeah, Allah's the most forgiving, so you know I can seek forgiveness later on. Allah knows exactly what's in your heart. If you think like, oh, you can get away with this right now, and then like before you die or something, you could say, oh yeah, I'm gonna seek forgiveness. Because look at that, what's in your heart. You're saying, okay, you know, I'm good for right now because you know nothing's harming me right now. But if you know, like you do something haram and you don't actively seek to like find, you know, repentance for that, then Allah will punish you. People have asked me, is there a punishment in this life? And I'll say, yeah. But at the same time, if you're someone who truly believes in Allah in the last day, then you will look at that punishment as a sign and a test for you to be like, okay, maybe I did something wrong, but this is Allah showing me, okay, you know, either stop what you're doing or this is a test of Allah removing the sins that I got for doing that wrong. And he's giving me good deeds now. He's replacing them. Yeah. You have to look at it like that. You can't just say, oh, I'm getting punished right now. Because anything you go through in this life, it's nothing compared to what can happen in the grave, and definitely nothing compared to what can happen in the hellfire. Mm-hmm. So you have to turn to Allah even more in these times, because this is where you need Allah the most. You know, Allah's not going to answer you if you're in the hellfire. What you going to do? What you going to do in the grave? What you going to do? You're dead. You're done. The only deeds that will follow you to the grave are the ones that when people pray for you or people or your wealth is like giving back to the people after you're gone. Charity. That type of stuff.
As long as you're living in sentient, like your test is still going. Anyone who's living, if you're living, you're tested. But that's the beauty of it. If you're living, wallahi, like hope is to the sky right now. You have so much hope. You have so much potential. Your potential is beyond the sky. This is for anyone, and this applies to anything as well, bro. If you're still living, if you still have the capability to like right your wrongs, your potential reaches the sky. Yeah. And I truly believe that anyone can change.
Anybody
100%. Truly,
bro, we've changed. Like we've evolved.
Look
we've
at the Sahaba before they came to Islam.
Yeah.
You know, one of the worst of people. But once they came to Islam, I mean, that's the whole point of Islam, to shape you into a the betterment of people. And this is why things are a sin, and this is why things are allowed, and why things are mandatory, like your prayer. You know, Allah doesn't want you to be far away from Him. Allah loves these things the most, that He's gonna make them a requirement. You know, I'm not gonna let this my slaves stray away from me. You know, I'm gonna keep them close to me. This is why, you know, these types of things are regulated.
What does God tell us in the Quran? He says, remember God a lot so that you can be successful. What does He also tell us? Your salah is mandatory upon you. You have to do it 5 times a day. Remember Him a lot and you'll be successful. He's literally telling us how to be successful, and He's telling us on what to do to be successful. Yeah. And He's making a success obligatory on us.
Exactly. Because success is seen in different ways. Obviously, today, success is only seen in one way. If you have fame, if you have status, if you have wealth.
Wallahi, I'm about to talk about that. Success by the man of today, or the woman of today, is seen by status alone. And what they would do to gain that status really reduces their status. Eventually, look, you'll work like a dog day and night, like a donkey. You work in the sweatshops just to make a whole bunch of money, just to make money. And now you say, oh, I have all this money, now I got the status. No, really, you're still a donkey. You just got a whole bunch of money now. If you reduce your status and think you've increased your status. You thought you did good for you, but really you took away from you. You've made yourself a slave. This is what a lot of people do today. The value comes from who you are and what you bring to the table as a human being, not from what you do for another person. Slaving away, thinking you're increasing your status. You're not increasing your status. This is what Islam teaches us. Wallahi, that's like the same thing that like the things that are becoming prevalent today that the people are talking about, like the business industries and all this. Wallahi, you see it in Islam. Islam gave it to us 1400 years ago. At the time of Adam, He already gave it to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already gave it to us.
1400 years ago. But look, going back to, you know, what people do for the money and the status. Going back, look how many girls create OnlyFans nowadays talking about some, girl, you did that, or you know, I'm doing my own thing now.
You think
I don't need a man.
Yeah, you think you increase your status? No, you've reduced it to the lowest of the low, and you can't see it. You're blind to it. You're ignorant to it. You're heedless to it. It's wallahi, it's what He said.
Yeah, because so many people like they chase their status, their money, or like their wealth and power. You know, everyone wants power. They want a legacy. They want something to leave behind and say, oh yeah, I remember this person for this matter, that type of thing, right? And
not even that. They just want to be remembered, not from what they did.
Yeah, but back in the day, like history, like the time of the Sahaba and the Prophets, what do you remember most about them? You're not remembering the money they made or the things that they did. You're remembering them,
the character.
The Prophet ﷺ, you remember him for his character, for the things he did, the examples he set for mankind. You know, he's known as the most influential man to walk the planet.
It's poor. Look. The Prophet ﷺ, he was poor. He was poor. He was a shepherd.
He was a humble servant.
He was a humble servant of Allah, and his character was the most richest character in the dunya, and he became the most influential man to ever walk the planet. He wasn't the richest man. Who was the richest person? Mansa Musa,
the best of creation.
He was the richest man to walk the planet, but he's not as influential as Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, because his wealth left behind the moment he entered the grave.
Yeah, his wealth is left behind, and
his wealth has not availed him.
Yeah, exactly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you your wealth nor your children will avail you on that day, on the day of judgment. Like what you can leave behind wealth, give it to charity and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if you've made $1 billion and unless you leave it all to your family, you leave it all for good purposes, then what is it going to do for you?
It hasn't done anything for you.
Yeah, it hasn't done anything for you.
That wealth
you spent your whole life dedicating yourself to making so much money just for you to not even be able to use it the way you wanted to use it. And even if you do leave it to charity, you have no idea what happens after you die, though. You don't have no idea if the people you say, oh yeah, I want this to go to this charity and this charity, you don't have no idea if they're going to actually do that. You have no idea what happens after you die.
People are going to be fighting over your money.
Yeah. People will fight over your money.
And people even sin to get to these.
Exactly. They'll cut ties with their family members.
They'll cut ties with their family members over money, over a $20 bill.
Over
it's not that serious. Over a man-made thing. Wallahi, it's crazy. Because they're donkeys. They don't know. They don't understand.
You're not gonna see two family members fighting over who prayed today. No, it doesn't exist.
Another thing. This is like the bulk of our episode right now. One thing we've received so many questions about, right? People ask us, is music haram, or why is music haram, or Islam doesn't say music is haram in the Quran, and this type of stuff. People want to know what the reason for the consensus of scholars saying that music is haram for.
Look, listen, think logically, right? The music you listen to, the artists you listen to today, the industry, what the industry is promoting today, the words that they speak about, just think logically. The words that they're saying, the actions that they are doing, does this fit with Allah, the Quran and the Sunnah? The things that they're pushing out, the things that they are saying, does it really align with Allah and His Messenger?
This is just the logical basis.
That's just scratching the surface. Not to mention the things that go into building the industry, the way the industry controls society, the way the industry controls people.
Yes, bro. If you look at someone and you ask them what type of music they listen to, it's a clear reflection of their personality. It's as if the music is controlling them. Wallahi, I've seen that in society today. I don't know if you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I literally just joined a community for my university, and they said post your Spotify Wrapped because the type of person you are is reflected by the music you listen to. I was like, what the heck? That's actually crazy that you say that. And my take on this, because I've actually done research on this, because I wanted to make sure I came with the right knowledge for the fact that music is haram. And someone asked us in our TikTok live, he was like, why is music haram? So you said a verse that says, "And of mankind is those who purchase idle talks." And they were like, yes. And I've seen people who say, oh, idle talks doesn't mean music. But if you look at tafsir, and if you look at people, scholars who have actually brought the consensus of what that verse could be talking about, they've said, yes, it means singing and it means music. It means the playing of the drums and that type of stuff. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, he said that. He's a noble scholar in Islam. Ibn Abbas, rahimahullah, he said that as well. Ibn Kathir said that in his tafsir al-Quran. These are three noble scholars who have said that.
Even so, the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, he forbade a musical instrument.
Yeah, he said, there was a hadith, it says, there will come a time upon my ummah
when they'll make music lawful.
When they will make fornication lawful, when they will make the wearing of silk for men lawful, and when they will make the sale of musical instruments lawful. And I was like, and see, how can you say?
And people underestimate what music, I'm just listening to music. No, musical instruments, like this law is not just in music. Bro, think about how many movies, TV shows you hear in the track, you hear the noise, you hear the violin playing. Wallahi, I was just looking into this. Think about in
plays into your emotion.
Yes, in movies, bro. If you watch a scary movie without any musical track, it's not gonna be scary.
Exactly.
Because there's nothing.
Because they're controlling you.
You watch someone dying in a TV show or movie. All of a sudden they start playing the sad music.
They start playing the song.
People are like, that music hit deep.
Yeah, and it tunes into your music is played into everything, in ads, in Like it's a business. They're making money off of the masses.
Because it releases something in your heart. Like, look,
like
so
it changes your mood.
Listen. If you like you said, scary movies, right? So you know how they play like it starts slow and then it builds up, right before they do a jump scare.
Because it intensifies.
It's gonna start like the suspense is increasing your heart rate because you know something's about to happen, but you don't know what.
But
so that's how they.
And it's just because of the music.
Though, like me for example, like in the past, right? Like when I would experience this, it's like it's like mindless. Like you don't really think about the music. You just start to feel it.
Yes. Like, and it's like, all right, now this begs the question: why is it forbidden in Islam? Well, because it draws you away from the remembrance of God. Think about all the places that music is also played in the clubs, in the marketplace, bro. This is where music is
just
played.
Think about this. I heard something that said the Quran and music cannot be played in the same heart. Impossible.
Yeah.
How can you go and listen to music and then all of a sudden go listen to the Quran? It's going to be talking about two completely different things.
Now, I know music is an increasing problem like in society today, but like we're not telling you instantly quit because it's forbidden, but you should gradually decrease the amount of music you listen to.
And inshallah,
one day you'll be free we'll replace it with the Quran.
Now listen. The reason why the argument can be made that music is also haram is like look at it like this. Or at least the reason why you shouldn't listen to music and you should probably replace it with something like nasheeds or Quran, right? The reason being is because when you look at music is it's a melody, right? There's a flow, there's lyrics, and the beat goes with the flow of the music, right? Quran there's a flow to the Quran. There's a way that the Quran should be read. There's a way like you're supposed to elongate some words, you're supposed to not elongate some words, right? Everybody has a different way of reading Quran with tajweed, right? But there is a certain way, right? So when you do that, that's the easy way to like memorize the Quran. But when you do that with music, that can distract you when you're praying. Because when you're praying, especially if you're praying a silent prayer, a prayer where you're not supposed to be reciting like strictly out loud, then a song can creep in your mind and start like and start playing in your mind, and that can take you away from your remembrance of Allah while you're speaking to Him in prayer, right? And another thing is, like for Muslims who have told me, oh, I don't think music, I think like, okay, I understand it may be haram, but I think this and this. And I'm like, bro, there's no justification for something like this.
Look, listen, we all hear the thing like, science says that music actually
increases
helps with depression
mood and stuff like
this and that. They're like, okay, these things might be true, but the bad still outweighs the good.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that music is still controlling you. At the end of the day, that music is going to make you want to do something. I saw this one TikTok. I was just scrolling through TikTok earlier. It was talking about, we all have that one song when that thing starts playing, we all turn into a menace. Like
what?
You see exactly what these things are just going right over people's heads.
People and it's like, yeah, it is going right over their heads. Some people, they say that they need music to focus. You need music to focus. Like, you can't focus without music.
Like when I was in high school and people were talking about, yeah, when I get high, I work better. like, dude, like, okay.
That doesn't make any sense, bro.
No, like, yeah, okay, it's scientifically proven. And then again, the bad outweighs the good. It is still haram at the end of the day. Whatever your science says at the end of the day, science has went against Islam so many times, and then later on, Islam has proved it wrong.
One thing for if you're a Muslim and you want to justify anything that may be a sin or you're not sure about, take it like this. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told me something that could like increase my life rate for 100 years, if He told me it was haram, I wouldn't do it because I trust in Allah. If Allah prescribed something as haram, or the Prophet ﷺ told you not to do something in the Sunnah, then why would you do it? You're supposed to trust them fully.
Exactly. For example, right? Like we go to the doctor, right? They prescribe us some medicine, right? Who wants to really take medicine? Nobody wants to take medicine, but it's going to be better for you.
Yeah,
you have to do it. Yeah. So the same
you can
way,
trust the doctor, but you can't trust God.
Allah and His messenger, they know what's better for you. Allah created you. Allah knows you better than you know yourself, right? Allah's going to tell you certain things are haram. Okay, fine. Stay away from it, no matter how hard it is, right? You need to do your best to. Because look,
you can't just say stay away from it. You have to struggle. Like, obviously, like, it's easier said than done.
Right, of course.
Everyone is a sinner, but like, you must struggle in the way of God. Like, that's the only way it's going to help.
But the thing is, right? Remember what we said. You doing a sin doesn't affect Allah in the least way, right? When you do a sin, it affects you, right? What is the hadith on the Prophet ﷺ? He talks about how every time you do a sin, you get a black dot on your heart. And people get to the point where there's so many black dots on their heart that their whole heart becomes black. And then what happens when the heart is black? It becomes dead, right? You put good in front of him, he's not going to know, he's going to think it's bad. And you put bad in front of him, he's going to think he's good. He's not even going to be able to tell the difference, right? Yeah. And you see, that's what's happening with society today. You're doing something good, people are going to ridicule you. You're doing something bad, people are going to praise you for it, right? And going back to all the things that we talked about before, the things people do for status, the things people do for wealth, the things people know is harmful for themselves and society, and yet they still go ahead and do it, right? Because they have no guidance, right?
Wallahi,
Look, yeah, and
SubhanAllah.
if you're a Muslim, right, and you are uneducated about this topic, you didn't know that music is haram. Let me tell you something. If you look at the story of Prophet Shaykh alayhi salam, that was where music was first introduced. Shaitan went and taught those people musical instruments. He showed them musical instruments, and they started playing music. Yeah, you should go read about on that story. And also, you have to look at it like this. As someone who struggled with listening to music in the past, I didn't memorize as much Quran as I do now because I've stopped listening to music now. I've stopped listening to music for a long time, and I've memorized way more Quran. But before I couldn't because I had so many songs in my head that I knew how to memorize, like that I had memorized because I listened to them so much. But if you also look at it, you know how songs get outplayed because you play them so much in your head? You can listen to Quran for the rest of your life and you won't get tired of it.
And the thing is, every time I open up the Quran and I read something, subhanAllah, I learn something new. Every single time.
It is truly beneficial. Other than music, it's just wasted time. And like you're wasting like your eardrums. Like imagine going out in public with your headphones. Like, bro, you could easily get murked right now.
Like, look, matter of fact, dude, going like matter of fact, something Andrew Tate has said before. He was like, for example, what the music industry is promoting, like for example, Lil Nas X dressing up as the devil and having sex with it. That is degenerate. I don't care what you say.
Like,
that is degenerate. This is complete degeneracy, and people are praising him for it.
And people who sing songs about kufr, people who sing about like false gods and this type of stuff, and then also the fact that there are people who mention Islam and Allah in their songs, like that's haram. You're not supposed to sing about.
But hold on. The thing is though, right? The music industry is controlling those artists. These artists have a mass influence on the people, right? And the industry is gonna tell these artists what to say, what to do, how to dress, because they want to influence the masses.
No matter how
right?
outrageous
they want to control the people. They want to make money. But when you're a Muslim, you said the kalima la ilaha illallah, none is worthy of worship except Allah. These music industries, I promise you, will never control you, right? You know that Allah is above all of that. You're gonna fear Allah. You're not gonna fear what the music industry is gonna do to you. You're not gonna fear what the people are gonna do to you, right? Because you're conscious of Allah all the time, right? Instead of turning to music, you turn to the Quran. Instead of turning to your next door neighbor about something, you're gonna go ahead and pray about it.
And when you're listening to music, it takes you away from the remembrance of Allah. You can't ittaqillah anymore. You can't remember God anymore. Why? Because you're listening to music. You're in la la land. You think it's making you better. Why? Because you feel the dopamine rushing in. It gives you a mood change. You're feeling better now. You're feeling productive. You're not productive. You're only taking away from yourself. The success comes through the remembrance of a God, but now you're not remembering God. So where's the success? It's nowhere. It's gone. You're
look at what music does to you. Look at artists like Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Megan Thee Stallion. Look what they do to women. They say like shaking your body and getting half naked is empowerment. And then you got rappers, dudes who talk about gun violence, being from the hood, being a dog, that type of stuff, being someone who you don't mess with. I carry a gun on you, that type of stuff. And that takes you away from Allah because they want to be like that person. They don't want to say, I want to be like, I want to follow the way
be around
of
like
the Prophet
true role models.
I want to follow the way of the Prophet I want to follow the Quran. The words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want to follow the words of another man, a man who just makes music on top of
man like
beat.
you.
Anybody could do that.
Look, wallahi, you know what's interesting, right? The joke about the kid who's from the suburbs but acts hood.
Yeah.
Think about what type of music he listens to. I know exactly what his playlist looks like.
Oh yeah, like a young boy.
Yeah, you know exactly what his playlist looks like.
It's something even a rapper said, Lil Durk. He said the hood excites nobody except from the people who are not from it. But yet again, how did they even get to this idea, right? They started listening to this type of music, right? This type of music talks about how they came from the slums, how they came from the trenches, right? And I'm big
Why?
dog
Because
now.
they take those artists as their role models, and you could even like this is the stretch, but you could even call that shirk.
It could be minor shirk. Yeah.
You see the way people line up in lines. They they spend their money. They buy tickets.
They go to mosh pits.
They go to mosh pits
They
just to see this. Just to see these people. They're screaming. They're hurting other people just for this one person. Bro, he's just a man. He's not giving you water, food. He's not giving you money. He's not giving you.
The one who created.
Yeah, he's not the one who's giving you help. But you can't get 5 seconds to your creator.
What have these rappers have done to you for your life? Have they given you food, air, a place to sleep, all these other things? No, they haven't. But yet you'll go and disrespect your parents like it's nothing, right?
Now look. These people, just like he said, people they're so quick to buy these people's songs or go to these people's shows and spend their money, go out of their way to do this, but they can't thank the one who created them for free, who gave you life for free, who gave you the ability to breathe
Imagine
for free,
if we had
the ability to see for free. You can walk, you can go anywhere you want.
Imagine we had to pay for these things. Imagine there was a monthly subscription on this. Dude, you would not be able to live. I'm sorry, you will never be able to pay that off, no matter what you do.
Imagine spending hours sweating, nearly dying
Have you
in a mosh pit to see an artist and
that
you
won't even
can't
notice you.
and that won't even notice you, and you can't spend 5 minutes to your creator who's always watching, every move. Remember, there could be a meteor that's about to strike Earth, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he moves the meteor, and like you'll never even know.
Going back to the mosh pits and the artists, whatever. Have you ever seen at a concert, right? What people will do, like let's say when the artist throws his shoe or his shirt, they will jump on each other. They go crazy for that. Like you see some guy all the way on the other side jump straight to the middle, trying to get their hands
and people,
on it.
They can't see. They're heedless. They're ignorant. Like when I look at that, I'm like, bro,
But look, not even
these
just
people
that.
are crazy.
You
Like,
get his shirt. What is that going to do for you? What, you going to smell it?
Literally,
Like,
Look,
you gotta keep it as a gift.
is it going to keep you alive for 10, another 10 years?
look, for Muslims, it's a hard pill to swallow when you tell them that music is haram, especially as someone who, like we've all been there, we've all heard music before. As someone who knows the toll it can take on you, the way it can like bring you away from Allah. Even if you're someone who prays 5 times a day and you listen to Quran here and there, you could spend those minutes that you're listening to music to listen to Quran, or even listen to nasheeds. Nasheeds are, they're just vocals most of the time. There's no musical instruments in the background. So, and a lot of nasheeds, they call to Allah too. They like you guys have heard those nasheeds. There are nasheeds that they call to Allah, or they send salawat on the Prophet and that type of stuff. Those aren't bad. I'd
rather you that than
you'd rather listen to that. Like if you're because I've known people who say, "Oh, I only listen to music in the gym." Okay, you could spend that hour, whatever, how long you're in there listening to nasheeds.
Dude,
when you listen to Quran, you have to focus on the Quran. It's hard to focus when you're in the gym. And I understand
listen to the Quran while working out, but just imagine you getting the benefits of both worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because just listening to the words of the Quran, that gives you reward. If you recite the word, you get reward. What does it say? If you when you recite one word of the Quran, it's like you recited 10 words, right? Yeah. And like I said, for the Muslims who didn't know that music was haram, it's a hard pill to swallow. But the scholars wouldn't have said that this is something that you should stay away from if it wasn't something that you should stay away from. Obviously, just because it doesn't strictly say, music is haram in the Quran.
Just think about it like this. Do you think if the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam was alive today, you think he would have headphones in his ear and he would be listening to music?
No, he'd be reciting Quran.
And this is your brain instinctively knows this.
Yeah, like you'd be reciting Quran, you'd be reciting tasbih, tahmeed, takbir, like do something, remember Allah.
Do something
the more you remember Allah, the more reward you get. The more Allah will remember you. When you turn to Allah, Allah will turn to you. He will help you.
This is just like more like, think about it logically. What is more beneficial? It's like, what is more beneficial for you?
And the other thing is, right, when you're into music, either you're so into the music you forget Allah, or you're remembering Allah so much that you don't even want to listen to this music. You pick a struggle, right? Like either you worship the devil or you worship Allah. Like there is no in between. What is there in between, right? If anything that's not from Allah is from the shaitan.
Yeah, like I just like I don't get it, because I try to explain it to people like, music is haram, and then they want to ask me questions, and I'm like, oh, look at your favorite artist. They're not someone who
it's clear.
You should not be looking up to these types of people and preaching their music, because just like video games can have an effect on like the type of person you are, like the mood that you're in. Same thing can happen with music. It can influence the type of person you are, because if you idolize someone like NBA YoungBoy, then you're gonna want to be like him. You're gonna want to be someone who's in and out of trouble. You're gonna want to be someone who holds a gun, like even if you don't need a gun. If you're living in the freaking White House, you're gonna want to have a gun just because you listen to YoungBoy. But yeah, like
SubhanAllah, wallah, it's crazy. What the music industry does to people. Basically anything that's a sin. Anything that's a sin, right? Like, look, just imagine, right? You do so many sins, and all of a sudden now you're committing shirk. Your mind is gone, right?
No, but look, let's say music isn't a sin. Let's say at the end of the day, it's not a sin, right? Is it not better for you to stop doing that, to get away from that influence that music has on you, the hold that music has on you, and listen to Quran, or remember Allah in times that when you're listening to music you can't? Because if you have music in your ear, how are you going to be saying like Allahu Akbar or something like that?
No,
you have music instruments in your ear.
Not even just that.
Look. It's crazy to me. Like now I really don't get it, because people can see a video of a man dressed up as the devil twerking on the devil and say, "Yo, this is fire. This is what I want to listen to. This is hard." Like. Is
what
that
person
not
in the right state of mind would want to do
yes.
that?
Do you not like look at yourself? You not like exit out of your mind and look back at yourself and see how much of an idiot you are, and then that will really like maybe you'll wake up. Like, do you guys know what I'm saying, right?
Look, the stopping to listening to music, it's gradual, right? It took from listening to music with cuss words to not listening to music with cuss words to then not listening to music at all. It's a journey, just like we've said. Everything in Islam is a journey. Like it'll start gradually, but you have to want to do it first. You have to say, all right, I need to stop listening to music. But you can't be someone who says, oh, I need to stop doing this, and then not do anything about it. Because I know people who have those those late night thoughts. They'll be like, oh, I need to start praying, or I need to start doing this, and then they'll get up the next day and acting like nothing happened, and they'll go about their normal life. But you have to start doing it right when you say it. Once you do it, if you're gonna be someone who says, "Oh, I'll do this tomorrow. I'll do this the next day."
Bro, procrastination is literally one of the worst things.
Yes, and you want to know what increases procrastination? Listen to music, like things like masturbation and music that give you dopamine, give you these rushes of dopamine. They decrease your ambition
And
they
takes
lack
energy
it.
from you.
Yes, it takes energy from you. Why? Because it takes away your ambition. Because why? If you have infinite access to what makes you happy, or infinite access to a chemical that can make you happy, like weed or like masturbation or music, then what do you need to go out there and work hard for? If I can just stay happy here, if I can stay in my room and be a low life and not do anything for the world.
Wait. Yeah. Whoa,
And the other thing, nothing that lasts long comes easy.
Yes.
Yeah, like what you just said, it decrease, like music decreases your ambition. Like if you are someone who needs to listen, who relies on listening to music to get up and do something like with your day or something, or if you say
that's a lack of ambition.
Or for me to work out, I should be listening to music, or I need to listen to music, then you're weak-minded, you're weak-willed. You have no your heart is weak. Like
you have no desire to actually get something done.
You have no desire to actually get something done unless there's something stimulating you. It's like a placebo effect.
Yeah.
You say, "Oh, I need to listen to music to do this right, or to get strong. I have to have this type of thing." But in reality, it's all within you. It's all within your own mind. It's all within your own heart. You have to take advantage for yourself. But the best way to do that is for you to turn to Allah, because Allah can help you overcome all things that you ask Him to help you with. If it is better for you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will give it to you. If it's not better for you, He will take it away from you. And you have to even ask for that. You have to say, Allah, if this is good for me, then provide it for me. Bring me close to it. If it'll bring me closer to Jannah, then give it to me. But if it won't, then take it away from me. Distance me from it. Like you have to be someone who says something like that. When I made dua to get away from people I don't want to be with, I would ask Allah, if they are better for me and will help me reach Jannah, specifically help me reach Jannah, then bring me close to them. Bring them close to me. Let them be in my life. But if they won't, distance me from them. Even if they're my best friend, even if they're someone I've known them my whole life, then take me away from them. I don't want to be near them, because if it won't satisfy you, Allah, and for the plan you have for me, then I don't want it. That's what you have to have. It's the tawakkul in Allah, the trust in Allah. But a lot of people are they're still lacking in it. It's something hard to build on. It's just like we said, just a journey. It's a journey like upward. The mountain's not easy to get up to.
Dude, the best part is the practicality of Islam, right? Even if you were to take the spirituality part out of it, Islam is so practical. Anything that it says is a sin, don't do it, and you'll see improvement in your life. And you start doing things that are required in Islam, you'll see improvement in your life, spiritually and physically.
And if you think we're lying, go ahead and try it, and you'll see improvement in your life. You think anyone who left a last name worth remembering had to listen to music? Yeah. You think they had to drink alcohol? You think they had to stimulate themselves and run away from their problems?
That's all. That's the only stuff that you see today,
think
man.
Think in your mind. Think in your mind. You think anyone who made a last name that is remembered, that is revered, that is respected, one person who was remembered, just take the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, the most influential man to walk the earth, that they needed to go hit a vape.
Yeah, breathe air.
You think they needed to go hit a vape and listen to the music? No, this is the practicality of Islam. SubhanAllah.
And then the last thing, this is the last one before we close out this video. People have said, oh yeah, Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, he used to sing music. No, his book, the Zabur, yeah, he had a beautiful voice, but he only sung with no musical instruments. Why would he use musical instruments if there's a prophet who was before him who was tested with musical instruments?
He didn't.
Musical instruments that were shown to them by Shaitan.
Here's the fact of the matter is musical instruments is what is haram.
Yeah.
Singing, you can in the Quran, when we read Quran, we beautify our voices.
Yeah.
Like
you can, we said nasheeds, you can listen to vocals only. But the musical instruments, they will take a hold on you, because a lot of people, they said they've liked music just for the beats type of thing.
And it's like we've seen the example of we said the example of how in movies, even in movies, you don't even hear people singing, but you hear the music.
Yeah,
you hear the music playing.
You feel it.
You feel it. It gives you suspension and intensifies your mood.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just take that as an example.
And the other thing, right? The one who listens to music is not a kafir. The one who drinks alcohol is not a kafir. The one who smokes weed every day is not a kafir. The one who's really a kafir is the one who doesn't pray, right? So whatever you are doing, you know, I don't care if it's the worst of sins, don't abandon your salah.
Yes, it doesn't
Never.
matter how much we like tell you something is a sin, this is a sin, that's a sin. The most important thing is your prayer. Why? Because the prayer averts you from evil and averts you from the bad things.
Yeah. But with that being said, man, this is gonna close out the 9th episode of Deentour. And we hope you guys enjoyed. We hope y'all, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to the YouTube. Let us know if y'all like this episode. Let us know if there's something y'all want us to talk about. But with that being said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. We're not scholars, we're always students of knowledge, open to correction. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, reach out to us. We want to engage with you. We're willing to engage with you always. And yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.